Hi, Anuja, how are you?
Hi, Rama. Good. How are you?
Good. So today we decided to do a Zoom Khaskura podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to do it, really. It's so weird not having you next to me.
I know, same here. I miss our ritual.
Right?
So yeah, we're doing a Zoom version of our Khaskura podcast. And we usually would be side by side together. We would have the lights and the camera and the microphone. But we're doing this in front of a computer today, right?
That's right. Technology.
Technology.
Did you get to invest in Zoom shares?
No, did you?
No.
I honestly, I've used Zoom before. It's not my favorite, so I never knew.
It's
Like,
only popular because this is the first thing people gravitated towards
yeah,
because,
yeah.
working from home and bosses trying to monitor people and trying to keep the communication on.
Yeah.
Hey, garu cha yaar. How has working from home been for you?
So, March 6th was the last day I went to work. So it's been a month I've been working from home.
Yeah.
So it's been weird because, it's only been 2 weeks out of this month that I actually acclimated to working from home. Before that, it was a lot of anxiety. For 2 weeks, I could not focus at work because I was always checking the number of how many people are infected in New York, in the world, and the number
In Nepal.
in Nepal, yeah. And I have family in Denmark, so I was checking Denmark. I have a sister in Boston, so I was checking Massachusetts, so all these, like you were doing same for New Jersey.
It's a stressful, weird time, but I mean, this is not something like
Anyone
not something that wasn't predicted,
Yeah.
like the big, like all the people who are in like high in politics and are experts in this kind of predicted similar situation. And like the fact that like the Trump administration dismantled the pandemic response team that was set up by Obama 4 years ago is now like biting in his ass because up until a week ago he was denying the fact that it's a pandemic and people should stay home and that like social distancing is the only weapon we have in our arsenal to kind of defeat this virus. I mean, we are one of the lucky ones.
I really think so because, for past 2 weeks, I had a lot of anxiety that, I don't know, my parents are really old and I don't know what's going to happen. Our trip was canceled. So I had to like call the hotel, call the airlines and do all these stuff. And then, sorry, you may hear a siren because I live close to hospital. So you'll see ambulance going by a lot.
That's all there is out there now.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was really weird because it was a lot of anxiety. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to record today's episode on Zoom, because we recently had an episode we pre-recorded one episode talking about failures and how to deal with failures. And this is not really a failure. This pandemic situation is not really a failure, but it's similar to the situation where things are not in your control. So we want to talk a little bit about what are the things that we are doing to deal with it. So yeah, we're gonna basically discuss.
I mean, where do we even start? Like, I guess number one, we should talk about prevention and how we can like safeguard ourselves. Obviously, follow all the mandates and regulations that government impose on you in terms of social distancing and self-isolating and trying to go out as less as possible and follow the health protocols that the World Health Organization for the entire world and then CDC for America has assigned. Like, cover your face when you're out, like don't touch surfaces that are unknown to you. Even if you do, wash your hands for 20 seconds. And if you don't have soap, like use hand sanitizer that has 60% or plus alcohol. And stay at least 6 foot away from people. The farther you are, the better, Yeah.
So those are excellent points. Yeah. So that's one thing we can do to prevent the spreading of coronavirus, right? So there are still a lot of things that are still coming out because it's such a new disease that people are, or the scientists are discovering new facts. And then I think recently one of the facts was shared was that wearing a cloth mask actually helps you in some extent. So before it was people who are only sick should wear a mask, but now it's like if you're going outside, try to wear a cloth mask. That might help you with some prevention. Our government in America, they're telling us to stay 6 feet apart from people. In Nepal, I was talking to my dad, and he said they're saying 3 feet away, which is 1 meter. Whatever it is, try to stay as far as you can.
Far away.
Yeah. And that's no gathering. And one of the things I keep thinking about is that people, like I was talking to my one of my friends, and she's like, oh yeah, I just went to a dinner party and it was only 8 of us and we stayed away. But that's not okay because, like you are going to touch the same plate that other people touch. You're going to touch the same table as other people touch, and then things can get communicated. And then the thing about coronavirus, like people get infected. So one person infects 3 people and it may be dormant on that person, but other people, when they get affected based on their immune system, they can really go down. And then this is like, especially in New York, Anuja, we don't have the hospitals, we don't have the ventilators, we don't have the resources, and we can't afford to be sick. So prevention is way better than cure. So stay away as much as possible.
Yeah, and going back to the point of like wearing a cloth mask, it might not save you from people who are sick, but if you are asymptomatic, meaning that if you're not showing symptoms of coronavirus, this will prevent you from spreading it to other people. You might unknowingly have that virus, but you're one of those lucky people who don't show symptoms, and then unknowingly you might be spreading it like all over. And plus, like yeah, you're 8 people and you're hanging out and you're bearing caution, but you're in an enclosed space. Like if it's not well ventilated, that's another problem. Like the droplets, just like when somebody coughs or sneezes, it just like stays in the like in the atmosphere, in your atmosphere, and then it just like transfers. So there's so many things you have to be careful of. And one good thing about Nepali culture is that we don't shake hands. We just like do namaste. And hugging is pretty new. Like hugging is, like our parents never hugged us growing up.
But I have to say, Nepali people, a lot of in our culture, we don't have this idea of personal space. Have you realized? I realized this recently when I went back to Nepal, where people come like. And you're like, sorry, but it's
my veins.
Because you're thinking in your dreams. But
bro, yeah. I've had such vivid dreams in the past 2 days. But going back to the point.
Last week for 10 days, I was working like 12, 14 hours a day, which kind of helped me get my groove back, because I had to work and I could not like go to news channel and see how many people died and worry about things. I had to just focus on work because of the tight delivery. So I got the groove back. But before that, it was really hard. I was just worried.
Yeah. Like, and it's so heartbreaking and sad to see like all these doctors super exhausted.
Yeah. Are you okay, bro?
Allergies.
I know. I have so bad allergies too. And that's another thing, right? Is it in this time of this whole, if you cough, people look at you weird, and then
I look at people weird when they cough. Oh my God. There was a guy who was coughing into his hands. Do not cough into your hand. Cough under your armpit, or like cough in a tissue, or like a handkerchief. I think this is a huge lesson learned in terms of like practicing better hygiene. Nepalma pani, I know like Nepalma we didn't care much, growing up, like latar patar hunthyo sabai kura. I don't remember sneezing into my elbow or my armpit or whatever. Like you were just doing what you weren't very hygienic by that.
Yeah.
Now I think this virus is teaching like the entire world how to stay clean.
About hygiene. Yeah. So Anuja, tell me a little bit about how you when you work from home too, right? So what was the thing that kept you sane? Like, how was your experience?
So like this has been my defense mechanism like for a long time. Even as a child, like I always strive to be the best child, the good child. I know, like that was my defense mechanism against my parents, like yelling at me or punishing me. I would just do whatever the hell they wanted me to do. But now for me, what I do is I indulge myself into my vocal lessons. I have been organizing my photo gallery that I haven't been able to. I've been shooting here and there. I exercise, and I just watched. I've been catching up on a lot of classics that are like must watch cult classics, or like they're like genre like super great, like all time favorite movies. So yeah, it's just been like trying to stay occupied. My husband and I watch news in the morning, every morning when we eat breakfast, and that's it. Like we don't try to like keep constantly looking at news, and then we stay home. Thankfully, even though we're in New York, हाम्रो यो fire escape छ हैन. So we like open the window, get out on the fire escape here and there. अनि कहिलेकाहीँ पार्कमा पनि जान्छौँ, like राति अलिक अबेर कि त early in the morning when there's not many people out, because you need fresh air.
Yeah, I actually tried to take my dog for a walk on Thursday, and I have to say people were very oblivious. Like the sidewalks aren't big enough so you can cross in 6 feet apart, but there were so many people who would just walk past you. Like we had a dog. We were trying to. People are, and especially youngsters, I would say in their early 30s.
God. They're complete assholes.
Yeah, they're very oblivious to the fact that people are dying and people are contracting these diseases.
Yeah, you don't easily die of it. That does not mean that you can't be socially responsible,
Yeah, even if you're a bridge, if you're a host, 3 people contracted from you and 2 people died, I feel like you will be responsible.
Yeah, it's on you for not being responsible, because like I heard the news a few days ago, like these 70 some kids from Texas, like Austin University or whatever, they took a freaking chartered plane to Cabo for a spring break. What are you doing? Are you insane?
Yeah. I heard this story.
Half of them got coronavirus. Half of them became positive. Yeah, that was bound to happen. Like coronavirus is everywhere now. It's everywhere. Yeah. I think 180 countries plus.
Yeah.
In Nepal's situation, but I was talking to my parents, and I speak to a lot of friends like back and forth, and they keep telling me like I don't think there's enough testing, and that's why so far they've only been 6 cases, couple of deaths, and like few people have recovered from it. But there isn't enough testing to be sure of how many people contracted it and how many people are sick and are dying from it.
That's very frustrating.
I mean, can you imagine? Like, I was talking to my friend. He was telling me Kathmanduma, I think it's a Kathmanduko number. There's only 100 ICU beds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, जब कि यहाँ Javits Center मै कति 2500 कतिवटा बनायो.
I don't know, but yeah, they added a lot of beds, eh?
Yeah, I feel so like helpless, because obviously I want to help and donate as much as I can, but my job is also unpredictable. I know, number one, and like my parents depend on me, my siblings depend on me.
Yeah,
like they're both in college right now, and I don't want to, like, I am their backup. So if anything were to happen, I have to be ready.
Yeah.
So it's just heartbreaking that you're like completely helpless to like help your community. So the best thing you can do is
stay home.
Stay the fuck home,
Yeah. Tell me about little things, like how are you staying positive in these days and times of
like the first week I was like, this is great, like we've been through such hard times back home, like like you heard explosions, and like there were kids dying and buses were being burned,
Civil
and
war in Nepal,
for over 14 years, we've been through tougher times, and we were younger, like we'll be fine. But now it's like really setting in, because just the amount of people that are dying. And
for me, the weirdest thing is that this is something no one has seen, right? So I was reading this news about how America is in a war mode where They've deployed all their military. They've asked the private companies to make things for the state. They've banned all the travels, incoming and outgoing from 2 continents. So this is like a war mode, but nobody knows what we're fighting. I mean, we know what we're fighting, but nobody knows the
it's
details.
not visible, it's not visible. It would be something if you could see your enemy and you could like shoot it down, but this like it spreads so stealthily. It does not leave your body. Like even if you are lucky and you have the strong immune system to like resist it, you still feel like shit. I hear it like breaks you down. It like for a couple of weeks you just you're in the worst phase ever. And then it's harder for people who have underlying conditions like diabetes and cardiovascular disease or any like autoimmune disease that is like that compromises your immune system. So I have been extra naggy with my parents. Like, just stay home. Can you just stay home? Like, if you need groceries, like ask younger kids to bring it and just be sure not to touch anybody, stay away from everybody. Like what about you? What are you doing to stay positive?
Stay positive. So one thing I'm definitely doing is making time to talk to my parents every day. Before, like, I was too busy and we had like, our ups and downs, but coronavirus has brought us together. So we're just like talking.
One silver lining.
Making sure we're, doing that. I've also tried to sleep a lot because I miss out on sleeping, because when you work so much, like I just started going to gym and I was feeling great about like working out, and it's so sad that I can't go to gym anymore, but the world has bigger problems, right? Bigger than not being able to go to gym. So I've been trying to work out at home. That's not going good.
Same.
But, I've been cooking a lot.
That's the only way you can feed yourself.
I've been cleaning the house a lot, like deep cleaning. So that's good. But all in all, knock on wood, we're healthy. Our family and friends are healthy so far. And hopefully, I think we're hitting that the flattening of the curve in America.
Well, no, it hasn't reached the peak in New York yet. In a week, it's going to get 2 or 3 times worse. Right now, every 2.5 minutes, a person is dying.
Yeah, I read that too,
Yeah, we just have to be extremely wary. And I also have been seeing this post going around. By the time this coronavirus ends, have a goal to like have a new set of skills or be an expert on something or whatever. No, like people are already like, they have enough on their plates. You're worrying about virus. Maybe you don't have a job. Like maybe you're worried about feeding yourselves, your family. Like, no.
But, I think there's different levels, for some people. I was reading this article today about this guy who's a taxi driver, and he was working. He's been in America for 40 years. He's from Dominican Republic. Raul, that was his name. So he's been driving taxi, and then he actually contracted coronavirus, and his wife is sick. His older daughter is sick. His older daughter's husband is sick. Like everyone's sick, and he's worrying about getting kicked out of his house and losing his taxi license, because like owning a taxi is expensive in New York, and they haven't waived these things for these poor people. So there's a lot of people who are struggling to even like shelter in place, but there's nowhere to shelter these people.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like that. But then again, there are people who are students who are at home doing nothing. So instead of going to just Instagram and YouTube, this could be a good time to like, like learn a little bit of new things. Or if you were, thinking about doing something, you have a lot of free time because you have nothing else to do. Of course, you can go and shop and bring things. And then if you're thinking about making something, you can't do that. But if the books are there in the shelf, try to read it. Like that's what I've been trying to do. I'm finally trying to read that book called Art of War. Do you know what?
Sun Tzu?
Yeah. I finally organized. I had this big pile of makeup, which I never used. So I finally organized those, those little things.
Yeah.
Good distraction from what's going on out there in the world.
Yeah. We're taking a few steps towards being minimalist. So I'm trying to get rid of a lot of stuff and organize. And then we're kind of contemplating like how we can get rid of furnitures and just live without furnitures for the most part. Yeah. So we'll see how that rolls out.
That's a good project, right? Minimalism, right?
Man, I really hope we get out of this soon.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And we want to request all our Khaskura podcast listeners, please don't go outside. Shelter in place. Try to please go out to your neighbor, or not go out, but call your neighbor or your elderly people in your family and check on them if they're okay. Yeah. If there are friends who are being stupid and asking you to come out and hang out somewhere, just say no and tell them how important it is, because we don't have a vaccine for this disease. The best we can do is prevent it, and like prevent it from being contaminated, like contaminating other people. So just stay at home.
Yeah, and plus apparently divorce rates are supposed to surge, and also domestic violence is supposed to surge. So keep an eye out for that. Be mindful of that. If you know of people who are suffering, definitely be helpful to them from a distance.
From a distance, and try to stay positive. Like we're just trying to live a day at a time. There's a lot of things that you can be grateful for. One of the things that I found helpful, obviously, is writing down what I need to do, because my mind's just racing everywhere. If you're feeling sad and depressed, it's fine. I was very lost for 2 weeks plus time, where I didn't know what was going to happen. So give yourself some time. Try to be easy on yourself and your siblings or your family or your parents. Everybody is human being. So yeah.
And if you have access, watch Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2. I really like this movie.
Ozark. I know our producer Sam is watching Ozark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, bro.
I finally watched Shawshank Redemption.
Good.
What a good movie. Yeah.
Such a good movie. So
we're going to put in post in our Instagram about what are our favorite movies and what are the things that we're doing to keep us sane. But please don't go outside. Call my boss news. Biden Odanus. That's our request.
Stay safe, stay positive. Look out for each other. Lots of love.
Yeah.
From us.
Thank you for still loving us and watching this video this far. We appreciate it. Stay home and watch more of our videos on YouTube. And we're going to wrap up for today. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button below and hit on the bell icon to get notified of our amazing contents.
And for frequent updates, please follow us on our social media handles. All the information is in the description below.
Thank you.